Good morning. This is your 10 a.m. daily weather briefing, continuing with the mostly cloudy and breezy conditions out there this morning. Temperatures sitting in the upper 40s at this time. Peak wind over the last hour was right up around 31 miles per hour. Overall, expecting breezy conditions to continue as we move through the day today and keeping some cloud cover around. We do have a few light radar returns in the local area, but not likely much of that is making it to the surface, maybe just a sprinkle or two. We will be moving into some quieter weather as we get into the extended forecast, but we'll continue to see some breezy to slightly breezy conditions as we move over the next day or two. If we take a look at the current surface analysis, we can see that strong area of high pressure well to the north, but keeping a tight pressure gradient over the local region. That boundary is off to our east that pushed through the area and brought the shower and storm activity over the last 24 hours. Again, well off to the east now, but that tight pressure gradient is going to keep things breezy until this area of high pressure builds in over the region as we move into the weekend. If we take a look at the upper level winds, seeing northwesterly winds near the surface, and then the winds become southwesterly to south-southwesterly as we get up in the mid and upper levels. Seeing our peak winds of 60 knots at 25,000 feet. The freezing level is at 6,000 feet. If we look at the current visible satellite and composite radar on here, we can see those light radar returns just along and off the coast here. Again, mainly elevated precip, maybe a few sprinkles making it to the surface, but that's going to continue to move eastward and out of the area. We'll keep the clouds around for most, if not all, of the day today. This initial cloud layer will continue moving eastward, and then behind that we'll likely see a cumulus cloud field developing as we get into the afternoon and later part of the afternoon. If we look at the European model here zoomed out, we can see indicating some of that, picking up on some of that elevated precip over the local area. But nonetheless, again, as we move through the day, dry conditions mainly expected, breezy conditions continuing. That continues into the evening time frame as well. And then as we go into Friday, we will remain slightly breezy through much of the day, possibly seeing a wind advisory for our Friday. We are currently in a wind advisory and do expect to maintain that wind advisory as we move through our working hours today. As we move overnight Friday and into the weekend, we will have a weak disturbance moving through the area. As you can see here, model indicating some light precip returns here, mainly just expecting an isolated sprinkle, maybe an isolated light rain shower at most as we move over that time frame, but not expecting a very high probability of that, or not expecting it to be very impactful. And as that pushes through, we'll see a dry, slightly breezy day on Saturday, and we'll see some slightly cooler air moving in as we go towards the second half of the weekend here with slightly below average temperatures, but fairly seasonable as we move through the extended forecast here. As we get into next week, or more so towards the end of the weekend, I guess, we'll see this disturbance along the Gulf of America here. It's going to be tracking eastward and off the southeast coast. That's going to stay out of the local area and continue to be suppressed south. It's going to keep things dry as we move through the end of the weekend and into the extended forecast, and we'll see mild temperatures moving into the area as we move through the first half of next week. We can see those thickness values rising over the local area. Additionally, seeing high pressure mainly in control. So it's going to keep the winds at bay and looking at nice conditions as we move through and into the middle of next week. So if we look at our 24-hour weather risk chart for today, the main risk will be contending wind, will be those winds at or above 25 knots. Again, we are currently in a wind advisory and should hold that through the working hours today as well as into the first part of the evening. So we do see that red risk and possibly dropping down to a yellow risk as we get into the start of the day on Friday. We'll see those winds out of the northwest, 13 to 18 knots, peaking around 32 knots for those peak gusts. And then we'll see those start to weaken a bit, become more westerly as we get into the start of the day on Friday. Out of the west, 9 to 14 knots, gusting to 22 knots. Temperatures will warm to around 50 to 52 degrees for our high this afternoon, staying mostly cloudy. Again, keeping most of those clouds continuing around the area this morning. And as we get into the afternoon, we'll see a cumulus field developing around 4,000 to 5,000 feet, possibly keeping a ceiling until we get into the evening. That's when we'll start to see those skies start to clear. That's going to allow temperatures to cool down to around 33 degrees, which is right about average for this time of year. Tides are running normal. Looking at the extended forecast here, Friday, slightly breezy. Chance of seeing a wind advisory for Friday. Otherwise, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy later in the day, high of 52. We'll see that about 15% chance of an isolated sprinkle Friday evening into early Saturday morning. Otherwise, another seasonable day for Saturday, mostly cloudy, and then we'll see clouds clearing late in the day, slightly breezy once again. And then we'll see better conditions as we move into the end of the weekend and through the extended forecast here, mainly partly cloudy to mostly sunny conditions. We'll see a cooler day on Sunday with at or just below average temperature with a high of 49 degrees. Then we'll see those temperatures back into the upper 50s and low 60s as we move through our work week next week, again with those mostly sunny to partly cloudy conditions. So looks like we'll be moving into a stretch of dry weather and should see those nice mild temperatures moving into the area. That's going to wrap up the 10 a.m. daily weather briefing. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8:15 and 10 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your day.